If you've been following Throne and Liberty's development and news cycle all that recently, you've probably caught onto a trend right now, and it's the auto battle, auto pathing, auto farming trend and concerns that are raised by the community. And it's the goal of this video to bring this up, to talk about it from my perspective as a developer, as a gamer, as a redheaded ginger here in Texas. And that's what we're going to explore in today's video. Now, we've got a couple data points to back this up. We're going to talk about that. We're going to bring up a specific comment as to kind of where I get concerned. But I'm going to talk to you guys why I'm not worried, why I'm not concerned about what we don't know. And it's that where all of this, I think, stems from. So we've seen some analysis, but we don't truly know what we don't know. And that's what we're going to explore in today's video. So if you guys like this kind of coverage, be sure to like, sub, share, all that good stuff. Sound off in the comments below because I really am interested in your thoughts. And we've been doing a lot. We've been having a lot of fun with the community comments section videos. I'm sure it seems like you guys are really enjoying those. I've been loving making those. So just remember, sound off in the comments and let's talk about it. But we're going to start with kind of the most concerning point. We're going to work our way into the poll, look at the data, what it shows, kind of what we can glean from it. I'm going to talk to you guys about what I think this auto translation concept is, how it's going to impact this new modern MMO. I think probably for the best, but again, we're entering into speculation town. We're going to hopefully start getting some more news soon, and I hopefully will have more news that I can share with you guys very, very soon. But we're, like you and me, we're all kind of in a holding pattern. And that's what we're also going to kind of talk about in today's video. So first things first, let's bring up the comment. Swahili says, the combat is really janky. Every skill animation locks. Plus, there is auto combat, auto farming, auto pathing, etc. The combat is so dull. Such a waste of an amazingly polished game. Now, there's a few points I kind of want to break out their comment. If you kind of split this up in two, it completely counterbalances itself. If the game was amazingly polished, okay, cool. Where did you get that take from? And then also at the same time, the combat's janky, animation locks, auto combat farming, etc. doesn't sound very polished at all. So it sounds like, and this is my speculative thought process of breaking down this comment, it sounds like that they believed this was going to be a very polished game, very beautiful game, but then they read somewhere that it's got this auto combat, janky locks, etc., which is some of the analysis that's out there. But analysis of video, you know, is not the same. It cannot compare to hands-on gameplay and breaking that down. Could it have a bad battle system? Could it all, you know, be auto-gamed, etc.? Yeah, that is always a possibility, but I don't think the odds of that actually being true are all that high. And I'm going to talk to you guys about that now, why here. But first and foremost, let's jump into the poll. I asked you guys, is this going to ruin the game? And the majority of you said, yeah, like if it's got auto battle, we're out. The other majority of you said that you guys still want information. And some of you felt like, you just can't wait to play. And no judgment. I think regardless, just the hype alone, just the information alone, just the interest alone that I'm seeing on these videos, it tells me that I think people are at least going to try it out, even if it has auto battle play, etc. They're going to complain about it. It's going to be frustrating. They're not going to stick around. And that leads me kind of to my first real point. This system, if it was an autoplay game, a mobile MMO that just somehow managed to make itself a PC first MMO, I would be like, it just seems like a big miss from what gamers are wanting. However, I'm going to talk to you guys about accessibility and why I think this is what it truly ends up being. In an action, especially combat game, in action combat is what they're saying. That's what I'm going to say. But until you and I go hands-on with it, I mean, I've even had people follow up. Is this true action combat? Like, we're adding in qualifiers to the phrase itself. And I don't blame you. Like, that literally, I can't even speak, literally is the question. What do they mean by action combat? Just saying action combat does not mean anything. It doesn't really convey anything. It says a vision, because there's so many different ways that you can interpolate that, and that's essentially exactly right where we are. We know as much as we did, I think, a month ago. Now, you know, we know that it's free to play. We know these systems are coming in, but we really don't know. And that's really, I think, where we see a lot of this coming up, because you literally take this time, fast forward to 1 year from now, you have an established content creation community, streaming community. People are covering the game. People like the game. People don't like the game. It's done its thing. Lack of information. This exact period, even when the game's out, only leads to drama posts. And it's frustrating. As gamers, we all get tired of that same BS and nonsense that happens, but it does happen. And it becomes a part of the conversation. It becomes a part of, like, if you're not talking about it, you're forgotten about. So that is essentially kind of the same thing. So that is what is happening now. Only the game isn't out. Only we just don't know what we just don't know. But in this case, accessibility, I think, ends up being, if we go with a combat system, not, an action combat system, not everybody is going to be amicable to that. Not everybody's going to be able to play that. It actually does limit some of your choices. One of the things about tab targeting, especially in terms of trying to hit console, PC, and I'm going to say streaming to mobile. It's not a mobile game, but they have the ability to stream to mobile, which is, I think, is a unique advantage. But we'll have to wait and see how that feels. Having an accessibility feature that would allow players to more comfortably play the game without beating anybody's heads over it. I think Mario Kart's, self-driving and self-steering mode, where it moves you forward, but you're never going to win the race. It moves you forward, but you're going to get beat hands down. What it does allow you to do, especially in my case, it allows me to play Mario Kart with the kids and everybody has a good time because they don't have the hand dexterity ability yet. Some of them can hold down the A button for a while. Some of them don't even know where the A button is. Some of them, still poop their pants. So that's my world, right? So in this case, I could see that any of the auto, quote unquote, translations are more accessibility features within. There's some risks here. There's some concerns here because those risks and concerns are tied into if you make it just that much better to always have it on, to have it always, doing its thing. That's not going to be well. Now, we've all seen auto run and everybody, I think, is perfectly fine with that. I'm talking about more or less setting a destination and letting your character move from A to B in a non-efficient way. I go back and forth on this because essentially in a game, especially now where we have fast travel, in a game where we have all these other things that you can get you from A to B, I could see where we've seen porters and things like that within games where you go to an NPC and it runs you to it. I'm perfectly fine with all that. I don't know how I yet feel if I could set my own destination as a character and have them run in that direction. I definitely don't want a game that allows me to go and just have my character auto farm all day long. That doesn't necessarily feel good. However, if I was able to enhance my character, like self, so that, like, for some reason, let's say I only had one hand and I was going to play this game, to allow my character to do certain things so that I could play and at the same time take that auto, which would probably get me killed 99% of the time, and enhance myself so that I'm not horribly disadvantaged or completely disadvantaged. And that's what I mean by accessibility. That's going to be a hard line to walk. And that's my speculation, that I think that what we've seen with what they've translated and what is assumed and what is speculative out there on the internet, I'm not so concerned. I'm not worried because I don't actually think they're investing this much money releasing kind of a really big game that nothing else. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, maybe it was just a mediocre, tiny MMO that the internet got a hold of and was like, hey, we're going to make this the next big MMO. The next big MMO, in this case, being an absolute curse. Because the next big MMO is already here. The next big MMO is also always on the way. That's a part of being, I guess, an MMO player. You're always looking for that next hit, that next big game that we can be a part of, only to celebrate it and then, in a way, try and kill it and try and trash it and get back onto that horse and onto that cycle. It is truly a fundamentally interesting thing about our culture as a part of MMO gamers, that we see this cycle happen over and over again. So at its core, we don't know what we don't know. And there's no real reason to worry about it because we're going to get more information soon. The reason why this keeps happening is because we don't actually have the information. And so the internet does what it does best. It hyper-focuses. It leans in. It tries to draw out any little bit of information, and then some of that information gets taken as de facto fact. The good news here is that I think if nothing, if this ends up being a big nothing burger and it's like, oh, there was accessibility options all the time, that's cool. Or the global version is a little bit different from the Korean version, that's cool. It's doing its own thing. I think essentially more people are going to be absolutely willing to give it a chance because that hype is going to be a drug that you're going to want to take. That hype train and that excitement of a new MMO launch will pale in comparison to nothing else. And if all things are true and this game doesn't necessarily live up to any expectations, it ends up being just a autoplay, auto battler kind of game. Well, I can tell you with all beautifulness that have you played Brew Protocol? I have. It's incredible. I think that game's going to be beautiful. It's not going to be a one-to-one comparison to what this is. It's going to be different enough, but it's going to offer you something that I think you might be looking for. Same thing with New World, just launching season 1. A lot of people write that game off. They talk about how they wish they had a game like New World, but then people say, have you tried New World? And they're like, oh, I didn't know that game was around. And yeah, they're doing well. They just launched season 1. Lots more to come with an expansion this year alone. And I think you'll start to see some marketing and some hype. So at its core, Amazon's doing some interesting moves, and I don't believe that they'd be picking up this game, especially launching it on PC and console, if it was just an MMO, a mobile MMO auto battler RPG. Who knows? Maybe that's something maybe that's a market that's not well served. But regardless, we'll be sure to spend some time with that today. Now, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Smash that like button, as it is a great way of helping me out. I do a horrible job at getting those like buttons smashed, but I do probably a great job in, the dislikes, because they're non-existent pretty much for the most part. So thank you guys so much. If you made it to the end of this video, be sure to sound off with the 10-minute club, you sexy extra beasts. Yeah, that's what we put. Sexy extra beasts in the comments, so I know you made it to the secret call out in today's video. And I'm going to wish you guys all the very best. Thank you. See you next time. And until then, take care.